Kind of world. Ain't talking about love.
Good evening.
We're talking about law.
Listening to some old music. Love it.
Right. Hey. Little David Lee Roth version of Van Halen.
Yeah, at least my kids like this music because I play it all the time, or at least they're pleasant enough not to tell me about it. But maybe they're rolling their eyes and I can't see. I hope so.
You're raising them right.
So we're tips from the bar, but I'm going to continue this conversation. CCSK Law is our weekly get together where we talk about the law every now and then. Yeah. But I would say one of the sort of odd things for me is my oldest daughter. I don't know how it happened, but it has like totally brought music from when I was her age into her like musical vernacular for lack of a better term. So like she was listening to ELO, which was my absolute favorite band as a kid.
It's genetic.
She started playing. I'm like, what are you listening to that for?
Yeah.
And I'm like, how did you? And a lot of it was like Guardians of the Galaxy or
sure.
What was that movie? That series that was on Netflix that everybody was watching.
Stranger Things.
Stranger Things.
That
so
was
like
Goonies.
all these things were bringing this music from my youth up into the thing, into present day, like Mr. Blue Sky from ELO and Don't Bring Me Down. I mean, it's like I'm like, I had the double album of Out of the Blue from ELO, and I mean, like I wore the groove.
Your Fisher Price 45 collection.
Close. I had
the Fisher Price record player with
album.
the 45.
I mean, I had the record player that the album was so much bigger. Like,
Yeah,
the little small, the little 45
that was cool,
would fit fine.
But that was cool though, because that was like
it's like a sandwich with the bread too small for the meat. Right? I mean, it's just like you can't
like
see what it's on.
True on high fidelity.
But you remember, like you could stack. Like when you got the better turntable, you could stack albums.
Yes.
And they would play and then the arm would go and drop.
Yeah.
And like it only dropped one. I mean, how did you know it only dropped one?
There's actually a market for this stuff coming back right now.
Yeah.
It's real popular. And so you're seeing records everywhere. And the record player, I looked, I was like, I might get one just to mess around. And I look, they're really expensive.
They're not cheap anymore. The expensive part about like good turntables were the stylus cartridges, right? You could have like $200, $300 turntable, and then like another $300 in a stylus.
Yeah.
I remember my dad used to flip out. Don't pick up the needle. Because there was like an arm you had to do to lift the needle. And
it's very, very delicate. And
then I got into DJing, and you'd be like,
spinning.
Well, in radio, you back time, and you got solid gears.
You got two record players.
No, see, that was after me.
That was later.
No, are you sure? I
you
started that?
No, I beat mixing. So I remember when that came on.
Yeah.
The scene, but there's a special talent there, and but the thing that was the difference between the belt-driven turntables you'd buy at home and the gear-driven turntables that you had professionally was like those things started like in a heartbeat. And so when you're doing mixing or scratching
didn't have to
or whatever
get
it was,
going a little bit.
Right, you would never get that spin up, right? Because it would get up to speed in a quarter turn, whereas at home it'd be like almost a full turn.
Nice.
So a little flashback radio record days, but it's funny. Like we hear that Van Halen. Like Violent Femmes. I mean, like we hear that pop up in the office all now and then, and like Blister in the Sun's one that she knows. I'm like, that was my freshman year in college, which was late for that song. And then we actually debated a song that was on Stranger Things that I thought was far older than the show played it, which was.
They played older music in the early 80s.
But there was a song that was like a featured song in that.
Like on the soundtrack?
Yeah, but it was like a featured song in one of the shows.
Yeah.
That like the younger brother would listen to the older brother's song. Honestly, it was like a Scorpion song or something.
Okay.
And I swore it was from.
Just play this one on Guitar Hero. I had my 80s collection on Guitar Hero.
Nice.
This was on there. Yeah.
But so we had to look it up, and it wasn't. It was like new in the time frame of
Interesting.
When the show was set. So
I just remember when I was growing up, I had this little record player, and my mom had a collection of 45s.
Oh yeah,
and I played them, and I couldn't read, but I knew by the logo that Jesse's Girl was on this one because I was like, hey, I was real young.
Wait, I was gonna say
I was really young, but that's I couldn't read yet.
So, but I was like
4 years old, 5 years old.
I remember 45s was like Green Door and like Elvis Presley and like stuff from the 60s.
No.
That's what we played on.
My mom was pretty young when she had me and stuff, but I still remember it because I had it up until somewhere around high school, college. I lost it, or got to but she had like this carrying case for it that had like a Tiffany blue cover that went on it, and you like had the crank you put on there, and it had like a little tower, and you could carry it around, and you could probably get like 60 of them in there, or 40 of them in there, whatever it is. It was crazy. I remember that I had that for years, and it was good old stuff.
Our go-to record player when I was a kid, when I first started playing like my dad's stack of 45s, was the one that he had the slideshow as well, and it would have so it was like a record. It came with a book and like a slide projector. So you would read the book, or you could just follow along on the slide things, and like the record would ding, and you'd change the slide.
Nice.
And then we stopped watching that. We just used it as a record player.
Right.
Yeah. First single I ever bought, first 45 single, Rubber Band Man by the Spinners. I remember it was like the number one. JCPenney used to have like the top 20 songs on CD. You know what I'm saying? You say CDs. Singles, right?
Yeah.
No, this was not CDs. This was
I'm
45.
Yeah, you said CD.
I got the same 40.
Yeah.
So it was the number one song.
That was like the mini single records.
No, it was the 45.
It was the 45.
Yeah, it's a full 40 with the bigger hole.
Right. You had to get the attachment on the insert. Yeah. I had after that, I remember I had a little cassette player, and I used to get these books, like the stories, and they'd have like a cassette that would go through the book at the same time.
You need the bell, and you turn it.
And I always remember the Dark Crystal. It was like, because turns out later is one of my wife's favorite movies, and she used to watch it all the time. Mm-hmm. And I had the Dark Crystal, and I never could flip to the last page because it showed that dude with the white hair. That's supposedly a good guy, but like as a kid, it completely terrified me. I was like, I just can't turn that last page.
My first record player actually had the record player, it had a CD player, and it had a cassette player. Like all of it was like the most technologically advanced of its age.
Nice,
it had all of these things in there when I bought that. But
your wife referenced the fact she had Thriller on record, and I remember Thriller. On
that was a great album.
Could you do the entire dance?
Yes, we did actually in high school.
Yeah,
we recreated the dance in high school, like all done up in makeup as well.
Oh wow!
John Culver was a friend of mine from high school, and he was like the huge Michael Jackson guy.
Yeah.
And so like I don't know if we ever performed it, but I know we practiced it, Ebony and Ivory. So we would do that song, and we had somebody accompany it. But he had us all do, which was embarrassing that there may be pictures of this.
Oh no!
Thankfully, not video.
Yeah.
Well, if you want,
hopefully not film.
Well, I don't know how much do you remember of it, because you can feel free to step over it.
And he did beat it as well.
Nice.
It was like the high school spring show, and
talent show type thing. Yeah, that's cool.
We recreated the whole thing.
Back in the day.
Here's a sample.
So, there you go.
That's about
That's all I know, right?
That's about it. Yeah.
I did that a couple times. That was it.
John Culver, who's still doing radio down in Indianapolis. So good guy.
That is awesome.
So tips from the bar someplace.
Really nice. There's law here to be talked about.
Yeah.
Yep. I saw an article today, and I just posted it on our Facebook page.
Okay.
From the Wall Street Journal in regard to bankruptcy and student loans. So a little bit of background. One of the biggest problems with getting a bankruptcy when you have a student loan and getting the student loans forgiven is the definition of undue hardship, because you have to prove that you have undue hardship and all that stuff. So it's over the years, it's become very, very difficult, and the standard is almost impossible. So people don't even try.
Does starting a law firm count?
No. Right. So there's a difference between qualifying to do bankruptcy,
right,
and then be defined as undue hardship
for the student loan purposes of getting the bankruptcy declared, student loans declared within the bankruptcy.
So you can have a bankruptcy, but your student loans
won't go away. Right. You can do the bankruptcy,
but it's not so. I'm bankrupt, but I don't have so little.
Right.
So my student loans are.
They had a couple different things today that were interesting. The Trump administration is looking into redefining undue hardship to ease it a little bit.
Okay.
So that it's a little bit easier for people to get relief from that. And so very interesting in the article. It's a Wall Street Journal article. Take a look at it. There's apparently 22% of people that have student loans haven't made a payment in over a year.
22% of student loans out there
have not made a payment a year.
And I'm not totally shocked by that.
I know. Oddly, you would think, we'd be like, wow, that's what. And I kind of was at first, but not a lot. I mean,
if I really spend time thinking about it, I thought might be that number would be higher.
Really? See, I wouldn't go there.
Just because of the propensity for loans just to be tossed out there, and the number of people that plowed through school and then didn't really have
Right.
I went to school, I got this degree, and I can't really apply it to what I would try to do. I'm not getting a full-time job in the field.
The thing for me, and I think that the schools bear some, and the government loans bear some responsibility on this, is that in 2008, when the market crashed and everybody's going through hardship, the answer was, well, take this time to go to school. You can get a student loan. And they were giving them out. I mean, there's no standard student loan barely. No. And they're like, yeah, we'll give you student loans. And people were doing, $100,000 in student loans for an online degree that doesn't really get them anything. And they were like, I mean, not that online degrees are bad; they can be fantastic. Sure. But I know a lot of people were spending, $50,000 to $100,000 on those, and they didn't change their situation at all. It didn't give them a marketable skill that they could go do it. So, and I feel like the government was promoting that. So I think
they were funding it.
They were funding it,
but
they were. I mean, not just promoting. It's kind of like, they like to yell at George Bush because after 9/11, he's like, go out and buy a house, and then the mortgage thing went nuts. Well, this is kind of like Obama's deal where it's like, go out and get an education, and so
and charge over 6% for it, even though the money's being borrowed.
Right. And it was. It's just one of those things that it's a very difficult situation for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Now, there are income-based repayments that you can do with your student loans, and if you're not and you have problems with your student loans, you should do that because it does make it easier. But at the same time, there's people that even with that, it's going to be going on and on, and so it's very, very difficult. The other thing is there was an older person recently. They just, and this was just really kind of interesting. They granted forgiveness of the student loans through the bankruptcy court. And the reason was that it was going to end up proving undue hardship in this person's 70s. So like the person is late 50s. Okay, I'm thinking, and I apologize, I don't have it right off the top of my head. I'm thinking it's like 58-year-old. And when they had incurred the debt, they incurred like $45,000 worth of student loan debt. Okay. But over the years, with income-based repayment, they weren't able to pay a lot, so it just kept building and building and building. Well, now it's like $250,000, and there's no more income coming in. So by the time this person gets in their 70s and it's forgiven because of the time delay, it was going to create this huge tax burden that was going to wipe this person out. Yeah. And they approved that as undue hardship. But that's under the current law, but yeah, it was kind of interesting.
So, well, let me ask you about this.
To put a bunch of stuff out there real quick and just say about.
So, let me ask you about this. Okay, so given that obviously, like, healthcare is in a huge debate in terms of premium costs going up, people either having health insurance or not having health insurance and then being forced because of the previous tax bill that was all before the tax bill kind of undercut it. But there was a lot of people either paying a penalty or having to be forced to pay out for health insurance. Sure. And some of the biggest factors that cause bankruptcy, medical bills that come out of the blue, are a huge cause for that, right?
Absolutely.
So if we have younger individuals who either have to choose between making a student loan payment or making their payment for their health insurance, I'm sure is not uncommon for a lot of people out there. Right. They have to make that choice. And if they get hit with the big medical bill and they've been paying off their student loan, all of a sudden they've incurred a whole new set of debt.
Right.
Now, does medical bill count as undue hardship?
No, because you can declare bankruptcy on those.
Yeah, medical bill.
So when you have bankruptcy, you can wipe those out. But it's interesting from the standpoint of, well, what does this new situation present for people where now you are going to be no longer required to have health insurance, so you don't have to pay out that $150, $200 every couple of weeks or whatever the payments are for somebody, like $200 a month, let's say. Can they then and will they then use that towards their student loans, as they probably should? Yeah. If so, then I think we'll see more people being able to repay their loans. If just hopefully they don't just see that as, hey, extra money in my pocket.
And that's just it, yeah.
But that's kind of how it goes sometimes, and it's interesting. We'll see where all this goes. All this stuff is just kind of just happening, and it's very good that they're going to inquire about this and what this definition is. And now they can't just say this is what the new definition is going to be. They got to get congressional approval. It's got to go through and go through the legislature. But it's very interesting to see where it's going to go. I'm kind of excited.
Yeah.
I mean, if that light lightens up, it's going to open the door for a lot more people to be able, that are in real dire straits, to be able to get some relief, because right now a lot of them just feel kind of hopeless.
Yeah.
So they just don't know. I mean, they can't declare bankruptcy on it. They can't pay it. What do they do?
Yeah.
I mean, if you can work it out where bankruptcy clears everything else off your plate so that then you have money to live and the extra to pay for your student loans, that's great. but not everybody's going to be able to do that. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way.
But systematically, that's not an economy that you want to have floating around, just primarily run on people who can't.
Oh gosh,
I love this song, Little Ozzy. Because sorry for the sidetrack.
I
just heard it, and it just
we need to take an Ozzy moment for appreciation.
Hits me. I like this song.
Yeah. See, I'm not sure how much this microphone actually picks up of the background music. I hope it does.
Oh, it's "Mama, I'm Coming Home."
Yeah,
by Ozzy. So it's a great song.
One of the few Ozzy Osbourne songs that made it to radio.
Yes, absolutely.
So, going back to I worked in radio for a number of years, and so I don't know depth of artists. I know top 40 music. You know, so I knew stuff that came in. You know, like people would talk about Ozzy Osbourne, they talk about Rush, they talk about
Rush is real good too. Yeah,
I'm like, Grateful Dead had like one top 40 song. You know, that was it. And that's all I knew.
I mean, Aerosmith, they were huge for years, and they didn't have a number one until the late 90s.
Who's that?
Aerosmith.
But
I mean, they had top 40s.
Oh, number one. Yeah, they had a lot of songs on the rock charts.
Yeah, but they didn't have a number one until.
Well, and that's when they went pop. Number one. It was like one of that.
It was one of Armageddon. It was the one they'd sung for Armageddon or whatever.
Yeah, it was like a totally
It was not their great
song,
music.
Right after they went to the total other thing. I think they went to number one with Run DMC. So Chris Moman.
Yes.
We're at the house today. So we're at Miss Baby Mead's and we're enjoying.
That did pass today. I did not see
caramel apple cider.
Oh,
I love the caramel apple.
So I'm having Ida red cider.
But yeah, it passed the house today.
It cleared the house. And here's where our priorities are. Which amendment's that?
Well, so my understanding was that it's
the accelerated start date?
Yeah. So as soon as the governor signs it, it's good to go.
March 4th. Yep. They have set a date of March 4th or when the governor signs it.
Yep.
So nice.
It's one of those things where
it's like going to happen.
What's our priority?
Really
because
the Senate approved it.
Yeah, the Senate has to sign it.
It has to go to the Senate now. That's
I hadn't heard anything about it. I mean, I knew they were talking about it, but I didn't hear about it passing.
What came out Senate goes to the House has this, and comes back, and the Senate signs it.
Yeah. So they're targeting March 4th?
Yeah, or whenever he signs it, if after March 4th. But normally, all of our laws kick in July 1st.
Right.
There's our fiscal year.
Normally, it's
July 1
to June now.
And so, but somehow they have figured that we are in such dire need to be able to sell alcohol on Sundays. Now. But we are going to kick this thing in on. By the way, Sunday March 4th. That is the 4th. So that would be the first. Yeah. So if he signs it by the 2nd, on March 4th you could buy alcohol.
There it is.
But,
now, is this like specific to? Let me look. Is it specific to a type of alcohol? Is it just general?
There are restrictions on it.
Okay.
Now, I don't remember entirely all of it, but if I remember right, there is something permitting gas stations or convenience stores to be able to sell cold liquor.
Right. So they have
so we're catching up with everybody around us.
But no, but what that is they did not. This is where I was waiting to see if they were going to try to write the law to undo that. Because there's a place down in Indy, I think.
Fishers.
Is it Rivers?
I don't know.
The convenience store down there.
Yeah.
Is this the guy that became some sort of service place and he set up tables and
started selling beer on Sundays?
Yeah.
But he wasn't he wasn't selling he didn't have a three-way license. He had a packaged liquor license to sell beer and wine. But he was a gas station.
Yeah.
Right.
And he sold enough food that they could sell on. I don't know. He found
a very narrow.
Super narrow.
They
thing.
really
and it ticked the assembly
pissed
off
everybody
so
off.
bad that they tried to write a law.
Yeah.
To
just
stop
to target
that.
them.
But if you go into Family Express around town, they've got beer and wine in the cooler.
Of course.
Because they've glommed onto this guy's niche.
Right.
And there was an actual effort where they were going to try to write a law to squeeze this guy out.
I just remember one of the people in the legislature that whatever was saying. Well, they were saying, well, we're concerned about children being exposed to it. It's like, what do you think people do when they go to a restaurant? I mean, how are kids being exposed any different at a gas station than a restaurant?
They don't live in reality.
I just don't understand them sometimes.
But I'm
not smart enough to get their logic.
I don't think it comes down to intelligence, my friend. I don't
think
you're
too smart to get their logic.
You're too smart to get their logic.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an agenda, not logic.
That's true.
But they,
I'm glad to hear that it got the first step.
I can't remember. I mean, it was awesome that the guy came up.
I thought it was up by Fishers or just north of.
They're in Indy. I remember driving by one on 16th Street, just east of the Speedway.
Okay.
It's a big. I mean, it's kind of like up here you see Casey's. I mean, they're a big gas station and convenience store, but they're huge in the Indy area, the Indy market. So it is. They were the ones that set the bar, and then, like I said, Family Express. Next thing you know, they've got beer and wine in the cooler. So, but there is some weird provision in there that allows them to not be considered a liquor store and not be considered a grocery store.
So, but it sounds like there's a really good shot here that we might be able to
get around some of those antiquated laws. Yeah, kind of catch up.
Man, what's going on in Indiana? We got CBD oil coming up. We got.
Did they end up passing that? Because I knew that was getting bounced.
There was something that got passed by something. I don't know whether it was the House or the Senate or whatever. I think it was the Senate passed it or something.
Yeah, for medical
use, specifically the CBD, because people don't get high off that, but it's really good for seizures.
Oh, so the amendment was to make it effective by March 4th.
It was that. That
was the amendment. The amendment was bumping it up.
We've had a tough session. We want to be able to buy alcohol on Sundays.
They have a party plan for March 4th. They needed to make arrangements. They're really last minute.
Couldn't they have got this done before the Super Bowl? I mean,
right. Really. And I'm trying to figure out what's the magic of trying to get it done March 4th.
St. Patrick's Day's coming up, isn't it?
Could be. I don't know when St. Patrick's Day is.
I don't know.
No. 17th or?
I know
something like that.
I don't know if it's a Sunday or something like that.
Oh, it went it. Oh, okay.
Maybe it is. Wouldn't it be funny if it was Sunday? We should check.
Yeah. I guess I can look it up.
It's spring break. Basically, you have kids going on vacation, and on that Sunday,
Patrick's Day is a Saturday.
They're going to want.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, that wouldn't be then. As I said, that'd be really funny if that happened to be a Sunday, because we could totally link that up.
That's what their motivation for getting it
exactly. So
there's going to be a huge party down in Indy on March 4th. Huge party. It's going to go.
There must be something going on.
Well, the interesting thing is, like, at first you'll get a boost of people just buying on Sunday because they can't. So you get like this big spike in business. And everybody's for maybe the first month. I'm going to buy something on Sunday just because I can. But then after that, it's just going to become old hat.
The interesting.
We just do our grocery shopping on Sundays a lot, so it's like, oh, we could go for a bottle. No, we can't.
So the pressure's on like the standalone liquor stores because they're not open on Sunday. So now you gotta, they're gonna have to be. But now it's all like the grocery stores were open. They just put a ribbon across or whatever, put a sign up. But now the liquor stores will have to figure out how to staff them, and they'll have to be open. So that. And that was their argument was, we need a day off. I wasn't trying to whine about liquor stores. But, I mean, that was their argument. Hey, isn't 6 days enough? And
that was the thing that always kind of blew my mind is that it was actually the liquor stores that were against it.
Yeah.
Well, they were the ones fighting to keep Sunday.
They could take a day off and they wouldn't lose any business.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, why wouldn't you?
Right. Well, I get that. But I just was surprised. You think that the extra sales and revenue that they would get from people that were going across to, anybody that's close to Michigan, Illinois.
Yeah.
Because I know in Elkhart, where I grew up at, there was a lot of people would just run up to Edwardsburg and get stuff. I mean, it's going to hurt their business more than anything, I think.
Yeah. So Rickers was the name of that.
Rickers.
It was Rickers. And they served food. They were leveraging a restaurant permit to be able to sell packaged.
Got it. They had all their staff trained as like waiters and waitresses and did all these different little things that they needed to do.
I think they just set up like a couple of tables and called it a restaurant.
No, he did. I remember reading an article because he had specifically had his people trained to be able to meet that criteria. Like there was some sort of training that had to happen. Yeah, and he had that done. So
that's some clever lawyering. Right there, or clever business
either that or just a clever business owner, man. Being able to say, what, listen, this is going to be an impact for my business. I need to figure out how to do it. Well, lo and behold, there's a little narrow.
There it is.
Spot, and we can fit that.
That's where attorneys are earning their keep. Now they have not allowed, if I understand, I'm looking at this story real quick from the Indianapolis Star. The one, again, continuingly weird caveat to the law that didn't get overcome was grocery stores still can't sell cold beer
on Sunday
at all. So
well, that's right. They don't really.
Somehow they squeezed out They were able to, in the end, lawmakers essentially follow the plan laid out by Liquor Grocery Stores Alliance, approving Sunday sales but killing a bill to expand cold beer sales. So you can buy it on Sunday at a grocery store, but it's going to be warm.
Oh no!
So if you want it cold, you got to go to the liquor store.
Oh wait,
or the Family Express,
or put it in your fridge and a couple in the freezer. Couple in the freezer to get going.
You have to go. Does sell ice.
You have to go to the gas station. You have to on your drive home from the grocery store.
Now here's a question: if you had to really
get a cold,
if you had a grocery store that was thinking, okay, so you go to let's say Walmart because it's easy.
They do have a gas station,
but no, you go to Walmart and they've got that. Like the outdoor spot in the corner back there where they give like fertilizer, keep that out there. What if during the winter they just stocked the beer out there? They weren't making it cold in the freezer.
Right, we just store it out there.
Stored out here, and you can pick it up and buy it. It's not cold in the sense that we didn't actually refrigerate it and try to sell it. Well, it just happens to be that this time of year it gets cold outside. That would be an interesting loophole. I wonder if they'd be able to pull that off or not.
Another creative lawyering.
My mind gets going, man.
Our crazy liquor laws, the old blue laws.
Yeah, there you go.
So we chat a little alcohol sales, we chat a little bankruptcy. There was something else I was going to share that popped up just recently. I will say, I think I said this before we got on camera. I met our Porter County jail warden before I came down here.
You're coming.
And have an offer to come tour the jail. Hopefully,
cool.
Like a not one-way tour.
No,
actually like complete tour back
out the door. Yeah.
So you don't want it to be Hotel California.
Right, exactly. I don't. Yeah, no, I want to be able to. To get out.
Just go in here for a minute.
Yeah, here. Yeah. Hey, see how the door's locked?
We got him.
Oh, sorry, there's malfunction. It's not opening.
That's how they trap lawyers. They're like, oh, come on in. Yeah, just right in here. See this?
It didn't take much for his friend to have a lawyer joke either. It was really a couple of them right off the top of his head. So that was. I told him I wasn't going to fight him on it because didn't disagree. But anyway, yeah. So I was up a couple doors up at Ricochet and grabbing a dinner before I came down here, and we were just chatting. It's the first time he'd been to Ricochet. We were talking about tacos of all things, and I just asked what he did, and then he asked what I did, and he goes, "Well, I do not know." I'm like, I don't deal in that world.
Right.
Don't get that way very often. And the one time I did.
The
one time I was involved,
it was a nightmare.
I was completely clueless as to that whole process. I think when people, I've talked to people now that have had that sort of one jail experience, and they don't understand when you're dialing out from the phone that I don't know what they hear on their end, but what we hear on the receiving end is not them. I mean, you're getting some generic call.
Like you're receiving
that talks about you're going to be charged for this call. Right. You need to give them a credit card number. Like that's not in this world. Like I'm not putting a credit card number in.
No.
But in our case where I knew that was what was going on. But I mean, it was like $70 over the course of phone calls like that weekend of just like because the person was like desperately trying to figure out what was going on. I picked up late on a Friday.
That was a
kind of an interesting play on a
lot of people
holiday weekend.
A lot of people were picked up randomly on a Friday evening on a holiday
weekend,
so all the officials to get them out would have not been in contact.
So
they just have to sit.
Yeah, and so there were some extenuating circumstances in that situation in terms of health and medicine and things of that nature.
The health and medicine thing was kind of
there's no way to overcome some of that stuff. So So again, I'm going to take him up on his little offer to take a tour of the jail. And
let me know. I'd like to come with you if you're going.
Yeah, and he extended the offer.
Because I've been over there, but I've never actually been through.
Right.
I've just been in the lobby in some little areas.
He talks about there's a lot of programs there. I think one of the things I said to y'all before we went in the air is, I didn't know it's sort of like a holding jail. It's not like once you get sentenced, you don't go spend 2 years there.
Right.
Reality is you may spend 2 years there while you're going through a trial process. It takes a while to get to trial.
Technically, over a year, you should go to a prison. If it's over a year, technically, you should be going to a prison.
If they've got a place for you at a prison.
If they got a place for you at the prison,
But
I don't know. Last year I helped with a client up in Michigan City, the prison up there, and that was interesting. And actually,
that's a different world.
That's a very different world. But apparently, a lot of people that are in there like Michigan City better than some of the other.
You got the lakefront.
Well, ever the comic
smell of the lake.
No, what it is that a lot of the newer prisons have like walls and stuff, where this is an older style prison, so it's bars, so you can actually see through and you can see different stuff around, rather than having like the glass walls and the little pods and stuff like that.
I don't know.
Yeah, and when I was up there, I mean, it really gives you this whole like Shawshank feeling when you're in there.
Oh yeah, but driving by it makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, going in there, and then they because when you go in there, you gotta wait, and then they take you through, and then you go through this detector, and then you come in this door, and they open the one end, they let you in, they slam the other end, then you gotta wait. Yeah. Then they open the other end, you go in, they slam that shut, and then they open the gate. It's really it's a process. Yeah, it's a real process.
I've gone into Westville, which is
a
giant complex over there, and we went in. We were going to it always still leaves when I say it now. We were going to an honors convo at the jail.
What?
So there's
who set that up?
Purdue North Central.
Okay.
Did at the time they may still did classes for prisoners.
Okay.
And they would have honors convo.
Yeah.
And, because there was people that qualified. Sure. And they had a class where we went on the day. We go into this room and like the people that did the lunch that we went to were prisoners who were in the culinary class. And so it was all part of it. But you drive in, and there's like 5 of us in this car. You drive into the big 12-foot fences with the barbed wire and razor wire and everything.
Yeah.
You stop. The gate closes behind you. Big chain link fence thing closes behind you. Driver has to get out, walk around the car, open the trunk, open the hood, close all that stuff. There's no, they're like, you pull in the next spot and they check you with mirrors and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's basically like this emergency thing where, like, if you were being held hostage, you have a chance to run away.
Yeah.
So, but it was a tension-grabbing experience, to say the least, and very stark. And you don't know what you should be asking people, and necessarily what you should be.
Do you have cigarettes?
Cigarettes. Well, it's like, you're sitting across from a guy, he's like at an honors convo, and we got a 3.8 GPA, and he's getting out soon. He's hoping to go into college someplace else, and I'm like, what are you in? You can't ask. Why are you here?
Yeah.
What does that capture me?
I mean,
and that's the thing is
19 years old.
No. Yeah.
And it's like, so what? And then there's another guy who's a life guy, and he's like just taking super nice guy. You'd never know it. Didn't ask why, but he's on a 2nd degree program.
Yeah. Well,
it's awesome to have that.
They've got to fill time. I mean, they don't have. Somebody might as well learn and educate yourself.
And
look at
go ahead.
If you look at the main purposes of what these prisons or jails are supposed to serve, you have retribution, you have punishment, you have rehabilitation, and you have deterrent, both specific deterrent and general deterrent. Right? Those are the main reasons that you send somebody. That we use this system that we use.
Right.
However, the emphasis between punishment / retribution and rehabilitation tends to shift back and forth as a policy measure, right? That between like, oh no, we're 3 strikes and you're done and you're going to get punished and you're never getting out, over to this is maybe focus on mental illnesses and saying, can we rehabilitate these people and make programs in there? Now, to be able to bring education and programs and really acclimate the society to the purpose of rehabilitation and to see the individuals within prisons as people is something that is a huge obstacle that's difficult to overcome, especially when it has been politicized as it has.
Yeah,
right.
And so I think the exposure in that type is actually a really great thing if you want to promote rehabilitation.
And your hope is that a school will accept somebody coming out of prison. I mean, there's so many hurdles to overcome when you get out of prison. I mean, one of the huge challenges is I could be super well trained and like completely changed. But if I get out and no one accepts me, where do I have to go?
Right.
I mean, and that can be an issue with housing. It's a huge issue with housing. It's an issue with employment. I don't know if schools have that same edge, and I would think in today's world, all that stuff pushes up. But I mean, a felony conviction is something a lot of applications ask you right at the beginning.
Yeah.
And they're not supposed to be able to, though.
There's that supposed to and what happens.
Right.
And if people don't know to say, wait, I don't have to answer this.
Yeah. I guess, of course, if you don't answer it, they can always say, okay, fine, we're not interested.
Yeah, it's the trap of that, and I think it's one of the great, and there are a number of companies that, will go out on a limb, for lack of a better term, and like work with populations of people coming back into society.
Sure, it's huge.
But again, housing is a huge. When I was working with the homeless center, or the homeless community, that was a huge population of people who could not go just rent an apartment.
Right.
And the double down was, even if I could find an apartment that would take me coming out of prison, could I get a job then to be able to pay for it?
Right.
And so the system also almost facilitates recidivism and promotes it. So in the fact that, let's say that you got a 19-year-old kid who's in there for theft, right? He got bumped up to a D felony for theft and spends, I don't know, maybe it's even a higher felony, ends up spending, 10 years in prison or something like that, or 5 years in prison. One, oftentimes they learn to become a better criminal in there because they have lack of resources for rehabilitation.
Right.
Whether if you're going to shove everybody together and just focus on the punishment, oftentimes they're going to then just, what do they have time to do?
Right.
Well, learn to educate themselves in other manners. So then they get out and they can't get a job, they can't get an apartment. What can they rely on? Well, they can rely on what they learned in that prison system if rehabilitation was not enough.
I think that there's right now there's a lot of programs out there for prisoners to help out. There's a lot going on. So I think it's, do they want to take advantage of it? There's lots of different jobs that they can work with in there. There's a lot of stuff like that. So
I think there really needs to be a real concerted transition effort to help people reacclimate.
Oh, absolutely.
But even not the tenure, but you look at the 2-year person, it's just long enough to have some of that stuff start to really embed. And it, from the outside world, 2 and 10 doesn't probably make a whole lot of difference.
Yeah.
Right, but it makes a big difference to that person.
Absolutely.
It's a big psychological difference.
Imagine you just took 2 years off work.
Yeah. Sweet.
Yeah. Right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I know we are pushing.
Yeah, we're getting past time here. I gotta get going, so that's why I'm kind of.
For an extended dance version of Tips from the Bar.
We could. I could definitely go more about prisons and stuff. That was my undergrad, criminal justice and criminology. Nice. Like that was a big focus. So focusing on prisons and private prisons, I could go on a whole thing about that as well. But really, I think we had a really good discussion to talk about all this. But so we
can carry this over again and talk about this later. This is a topic that goes
I'm sure
on.
It'll come back up.
This will be we don't have anything to talk about today, so we're going to hit this conversation because this.
Well, it's always relevant.
It's always relevant.
And with there's a lot of areas that it hits on. But anyway, we're CCSK Law here at Misbehaving Meads. Just doing our Facebook Live every Tuesday as we do.
Check us out on Facebook.
Check us out on Facebook or our website, ccSKlaw.com.
There it is.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Any questions, let us know.
That's right. I was on the wrong page.